Welcome everybody to Make It Monday. My name is Angie and I'll be walking you through this project today. What we're going to do today is a paper luminary. This is what our finished project is going to look like. There will be 4 sides and we will put a battery operated tea light in it, which is a little hard to show with my bright lights here, but I do have a tea light in here that I don't think you're going to be able to see that, but you can see it from the photos. So let's get started. I'm going to set our sample off to the side here. And the first thing that you're going to need to do is cut all your pieces, which I've done ahead if you're picking up a kit from the library. And I've actually done some pre-gluing, but the 4 sides of your luminary are all going to be the exact same steps. So you're just going to do the same thing 4 times. So what we have for our pieces is I have a frame piece that was die cut using a thin frame like this. It's a stitched thin frame, and when it's cut, the size is 4 by 5 1/4. Then I also used a die to cut our birch trees. This is a die by Tailored Expressions. Looks like this. It's a birch tree cutting plate. And for all of these, you will need a die cutting machine if you're doing this from home. If you're picking it up from the library, I've done that for you. And then we're also going to use a piece of translucent vellum. Vellum is a paper that is translucent. You do have to be a little bit careful with it as it does show glue. So when we glue, we're just going to be gluing on the edges so that it doesn't show through when we finish our luminary. So the nice thing about this is the birch trees and the frame are the exact same size. So when you glue them together, they're going to match up exactly, which was part of the reason I wanted to use this. So that is going to be our first step, is we are going to take and glue our birch trees to our frame. Now there is a front and back to these. You can tell the indentations go in on the front side, and same with the birch trees. You'll see they're kind of curved on the front, whereas on the back the edges are pretty rough. So that's how you'll know. So on the back side of our frame, we're going to take some liquid glue, and I just have some liquid, like it's a really lightweight tacky glue in a fine tip bottle. And I like to use a fine tip bottle because I think it makes it easier to get just a nice fine line of glue. So you're just going to put that, I put it just inside the stitching line. So you're going to take and put some glue, and that's why I like a fine tip bottle, because you don't want a ton of glue that's going to squish out. And then I'm going to take and place my birch trees wrong side facing me down on top of this. And the reason that I like liquid glue is it allows me time to make sure everything's matched up. So I'll flip it over and make sure I've got nothing sticking out the edges. And then I've got just a piece of wax paper here. And then what I like to do is put something heavy on it. So this could be, I'm just using a clear acrylic block, but this could be, a book. You want to put something between the book and your thing. So I would put another piece of wax paper there. But my acrylic block, I'm not too worried about. Just something heavy so that it just pushes everything down to make sure that the glue is going to adhere really well. So we're just going to set that on the side to dry a little bit. So the other thing I want to talk about is the bottom piece. Now when I made mine, I actually didn't attach the bottom piece because I want to be able to pack it away. So the bottom piece is cut to 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. And to get it to be a box shape, we have to make sure that our sides are not going to stick up. Here, let me find one of my frames that is all put together. We want to make sure the sides are not going to stick up so that they're showing through this, because that vellum is see-through. So we want to make sure that we score it so that when you put this on there, that bottom piece is not going to show through. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and score this. And this is probably going to be a little bit hard to see on camera. This is what is a scoring board. This comes in lots of different sizes. And this is an embossing tool. And so what I'm going to do is from each edge, I'm going to score 3/8 of an inch. Now, again, if you're picking this up from the library, this will be done for you. So I'm just going to flip it. Whoop, I should get my hand out of the way there. And I'm going to score it. And you can do this with a bone folder too. I prefer this little stylus tool. It just makes it easier. Okay, so I'm going to take, and actually I want to show you on a bigger piece here. So I'm just going to take this piece, I'm just going to score it bigger so that you guys can see what I'm going to do next on a little bit bigger piece of paper. Okay, let's move our scoring board out of the way. And it's nice to do some of these other things while that's drying. Okay, so here, let me grab a pencil. I'm just going to do a pencil line so you can see this a little bit better. So I'm just taking my pencil and running it down the score line that I made. Okay. So this is what each of your corners looks like. So what you want to do to get a nice finished corner, and where did I put my bottom? Okay, there it is we are going to cut a slit. So if you cut in up to that score line and then cut almost like a little angle piece, so that you have something that looks like that. And we only need that on 2 corners of our piece. Actually, we need, yes. We need it on 4 corners. I'm sorry. So we're going to cut in and then we're going to cut a little V. We're going to do it on the opposite corner. You're going to cut in and then do a little V. And again, if you pick your kit up from the library, this will all be done. So you're going to cut in and do a little V. And we're going to cut in again and do a little V. Okay. So we've got all those cut. I'm going to get rid of that sample. Now we're just going to take, and along those score lines, we're going to fold those in. Let me get rid of these pieces here. Okay. So this is just a bone folder. You can use your fingernail. That works just fine. So when you make these slits, you want them on opposite sides. You don't want to do these inner pieces. So we're going to fold that in. And we're going to fold that in. Okay, now to form our box for the bottom, what you're going to do is that side's going to go up. This little tab we created, we're going to fold those in. And then what happens is you're going to take this tab and it's going to get attached to this side. And you want to make sure that you make kind of a nice corner. And I like to use double stick tape for this. You can use glue. You will just need to hold it in place. So I'm just going to put, this is a product called Scor-tape. It's also known as terrible tape. It's just a really strong double-sided adhesive. You could use red line tape if you know what that is. This is called tearable tape because it's very easy to tear. But again, you can glue this. So all I'm doing is putting tape on each of my 4 corners and pulling that off. Okay, so now our bottom piece is ready when we need that. Now we're going to go back to this. We're going to flip it over to the back again, and we are going to glue our piece of vellum. Now the piece of vellum that I cut is just shy of 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I made it just a little bit smaller so I would make sure that it wouldn't overhang and it would just fit inside the outer rim. So again, we're going to take our glue and we're going to put a little bead of glue just along the edge. And I don't put any glue on the inside. Vellum can get kind of touchy. It can get warpy when it gets wet like that. And because we're using a liquid adhesive, I don't want it to buckle in the middle. Okay, so we've got our glue there. And now I'm going to just carefully line that up. Like I said, I cut this just slightly smaller than the frame. And I'm going to just gently push down on all the edges. The thing you want to be careful of, if you get glue on your hands, not to touch in the middle, because that will show through on the front. So again, I'm just working on my wax paper in case I get any glue ooze. I'm going to just flip it over, and again I'm going to put something heavy on top and set it aside. Okay. Now we're going to talk about our hinge pieces. Our hinge pieces are what we're going to glue the frame to hold it together. So it's this little piece of paper that's in there. So this is the size paper that we're going to use. And again, I'm going to grab my scoring tool. And these pieces are as tall as the frame, so they're 5 1/4 inches tall. And they are 3/4 of an inch wide. So again, I'm going to score those down the middle. So I'm going to explain also, if you don't have a scoring board, there is another way you can do this. You can do it with just a ruler. So if you have a grid ruler or something like this where you can gauge in there, you can, like even I can line it up on my mat here. You find your halfway point. You put your ruler up against where it needs to go. And usually I would put like a little pencil mark at the top and at the bottom. And then you can take either a bone folder and score down. You could take the back side of a butter knife and score down. You just need something that's going to put that crease in there for you. I just happen to have the scoring board, and that is what works for me. So once that is scored, then we're going to add some tape on there. And again, I'm going to use my Scor-tape. This size is the 1/4 inch size, so it's a little bit bigger than I used on the last one. And we're going to take and we're going to run the tape as close to the outer edge as we can. So I'm just going to line this up. And it doesn't have to be right on the edge, but you need to leave yourself some space in the middle there. And I know I'm kind of jumping around here between things, but while stuff is drying, it's nice to be able to do these other pieces. And you're going to do this along both edges. And you'll have 4 of these. And again, if you pick up the kit at the library, this will all be done for you so that you don't have to worry about it. But if you want to create this from scratch, it's nice to know how to do it. Okay, so we got our tape on there, and I've already done that to my other 4 pieces. So you'll have your 4 hinge pieces that look like this with the score line in the middle. And then you're going to just go ahead and fold them on that score line. Now you can, you know, if you don't want to score these, you can just fold them in half. I've just found that paper folds much easier and stays straight when you use a score line on it. So we're just going to get these all ready. And then we're going to start assembling our box. Okay, so we have our hinge pieces, we have our bottom piece, and we have our panels. This should be plenty dry. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to set that one there because that one's still drying a little bit. Let's see, where did I put my other, there it is. Okay, so we've got our hinge pieces all set, and we have our panels. So you want your panel to be facing towards you. You want it to be facing right side up. And then you want one of your hinge pieces. Now, what I like to do is take and pull the release paper off and only bring it part way down until I can get this lined up. So we're going to line this up at the top, kind of just beyond the edge of the tape. And then I'm going to use that score line, so I'm just going to crease this a little bit better so I can see that better. I'm going to use that score line as my guide because I want this to stay as even as I can. So I'm centering it so that it's even at the top and even at the bottom. And what's nice is you can lay this flat to do this. Okay, and then what I'll do is since I have a little bit of adhesive exposed, then I'll take and reach from the back side and just gently start pulling my adhesive down and making sure it lines up as I'm pulling that adhesive backer away. Okay, I'm going to pull it off the rest of the way and gently push that down. Okay. Now, when you put the next one on, you want to make sure, one, that your trees are facing up, not that you put it on upside down. But I'm actually going to work upside down, so, because I'm working on this side and I'm right-handed, so it just makes it a little bit easier for me. I'm actually going to work from this side here. So bottom of my trees, I just want it to be the same. And again, I'm going to just take away part of that adhesive and make sure I've got it kind of lined up. I'm going to press that down there. I'm going to pull off the rest of my adhesive and I'm kind of holding it up. Okay, so I've got my first two pieces. And don't be alarmed if they don't line up perfectly this way. You don't want them too far off, but what I'll do is I'll just fold it in half and then I'll crease it so that I kind of make that hinge do what I want it to. Okay, so now that's what it looks like on the inside, and I'll press to make sure that that stays put. And now we're going to do our next panel. So again, I'm going to peel away part of the adhesive. I'm going to take and line up my panel. Oh, I don't like it. Okay. It's a little bit off on the top there, but I can trim that off after. That's the problem. That's why I just put down part of the adhesive, because once you stick it down, it kind of really sticks. So there's no fudge room. And you could do this with glue if you wanted. I just thought the tape would stick faster and you wouldn't have to try and hold it. Okay, so I got that one down. And again, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to work upside down a little bit. I'm going to take my next panel And I'm going to, so I have a little bit of hinge showing up here, but I'm going to try and line it up as best I can. Actually, I should use my grid mat because that would actually help me. If I line it up with the line on the grid mat, then I know I'm straight. Okay, and I'm going to pull the rest of the adhesive away. And then before I press it too hard, I'm going to just make sure I'm kind of lined up. I am. Okay. So for that little bit that I have showing, I'm just going to take my scissors and carefully cut that off. And nobody will ever know. Okay. So to do the last piece, actually we're going to do this side first. Then I'll show you how to do that. Okay, we're going to go this direction. No, actually we're going to work upside down. Okay. And if I'm working upside down, I want the other side. Okay, there we go. All right. So again, I'm going to line it up just a little bit on that edge. Press down so that kind of holds it in place. Pull off the last bit of adhesive. And line it up. And push it down. Okay, so we have 3 of our panels. Now we need that last panel. So what I like to do is get my 2 hinge pieces on each side. All right. So again, I'm going to just line it up. Pull off the rest of the adhesive, kind of hold my panel up until I get it where I want it. And press it down. And hopefully I'm fairly lined up. I am. Okay. So to get the last panel on there, I have my 2 end pieces on there. And I have 1 panel left to glue, or to tape. So if I take and put this to this, so again, I've got the bottom of my trees, the bottom of my trees. That's the only thing you want to make sure is that you're paying attention to which direction your panels are facing. All right, I'm going to line that up, press it down. Okay. Okay. So now, this is just a tiny bit off, but I think it'll work. Again, this is dropped down just a little bit, so I'm just gonna, paper is very movable, so I'm just gonna push that where I want it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna peel off this. So we have this panel here, and we have this tab. We're gonna pull this all the way off, and we're just gonna fold that right down onto that panel, except for it's just a tiny bit off, so I'm just going to move it where I want it. And then I'm going to push it down into the adhesive. Okay, we have our 4 panels all attached. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our birds before we put our bottom on. So I've just die cut a bunch of these birds. This die comes like this, cuts all these different birds, and I just cut some out of red paper. I also cut some out of blue paper, but I think I really like the red best. So I'm just going to pull some of those out of here, and I'm going to grab my pickup tool, and I'm just going to, you can use whatever birds you want. If you want them to fly, there's flying birds in here. And then all you're going to do is take and glue those birds in place where you want them. So I think we're going to put one here. And I would recommend gluing them to the actual birch panel itself, the birch tree part. So you're just going to put a dot of glue, put that there, kind of press it in place with your finger. Again, you don't want too much glue because you don't want it to ooze out onto the vellum, because that will show. Okay, let's see, we'll take this little guy here. Whoop, I want one facing the other direction. That was the other nice thing about these birds, is they have them facing different directions. So I think we'll put this guy here so he looks like he's sitting in the crook of that branch. And we're again going to add a dot of glue. Use my pickup tool. If you have a pair of tweezers, well, that one is not the right direction either. There we go. Here's one. Yeah, either a tweezers, this pickup tool just has a little sticky end on it. And so you're going to do that to all four sides. Okay, we just have our bottom left. So what we're going to do for the bottom is we're going to take off the release paper on the tab and fold this up, line up the corner, and just press it in place. And we're going to do that on all. Whoop, I actually pulled my adhesive off of there. And just stick it back on, press it in place. There we go. And again, we're going to take that tab and line up the corner. And we're going to do that to each of our tabs. And the tabs go on the inside, not on the outside. All right. And we'll glue that tab. Okay, so our bottom is all set. We've got our panel all set. I'll glue the other two birds later. Now here is the option. I did not glue my bottom in place because I want to be able to pack it away. And if I don't glue it in place, then I can fold it down. So your bottom is just there. Hopefully I've got this so you can see inside there. You just fit your bottom in there and then take your tea light, turn that on, and then just drop it in the center. And if you want to tape or glue your bottom in, you certainly can. Just put some little pieces of adhesive on the edges and drop it in there. Okay, so that is our project for this month. I hope you enjoyed that. See, again, you could fold it down and pack it away just like this, and it doesn't take up much room. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me for Make It Monday. We will be back again in February with another project. I think we're going to do a yarn bird, so we'll see how that comes out. Look for the information on the library's Facebook page, Instagram page, and website. Again, thanks for joining me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.